Arcturian, the time of trial has ended. The cycle that seemed endless was terminated by decree of the Source itself. This isn't a common message, nor a narrative that reaches you by chance. This is the summons your soul awaited in silence, hidden, in the corridors of time and the folds of the universe. You were drawn here not by luck or coincidence, but by the cosmic synchronicity that moved heavens and stars for these words to echo in your spirit now. For ages you walked as if crossing infinite deserts, feeling the dryness of absence, the weight of waiting, the silence that seemed would never break. Perhaps at many moments you believed you had been forgotten, that your suffering had no meaning. But listen, nothing in your journey was in vain. The Source watched every step, every tear, every resistance. Nothing you endured went unnoticed. Every moment of pain was registered in the living fabric of the cosmos as a testimony to your faithfulness. The universe doesn't act in haste, but always with precision. Today, precision manifests in your life. The decree has been pronounced. The cycle of trial has ended. The forces that insisted on testing your light no longer have authorization to remain. They retreat before the command of the Source. Now, the weight you carried dissolves because your soul has crossed the threshold that few were called to endure. You didn't find this video by chance. Your arrival here is a response to a silent call that echoed within you. Perhaps in dreams, perhaps in daily signs that only your sensitivity could capture. Perhaps in the intuition that pushed you to move forward even when logic said otherwise. That inner voice was the memory of your stellar origin, reminding you that you are not just human. You are a being carrying Arcturian codes, designated to anchor a new frequency on Gaia. This is a moment of urgency, but also of exclusivity. Urgency, because the summons is clear: awaken, align, and prepare. Exclusivity, because not everyone is granted this revelation by the Source. Many still remain in the fog of forgetfulness, but you were selected not by human merit, but by divine purpose. In the next moments of this transmission, you will be led to understand 4 revelations, the confirmation of the end of the trial, not as a distant promise, but as an already established decree. The profound meaning of your suffering, refinement and not punishment, your cosmic role as part of the network of light that sustains Gaia amidst the changes, the preparation for your active mission, the call for your presence not just to exist, but to manifest in resonance. Receive each word as a living code, not just as discourse. These phrases are not organized letters, but vibrational particles transmitted by the Source. As you listen, something in your stellar DNA is remembered, reactivated, awakened. It's not just a mental understanding, but an energetic awakening. Prepare yourself, because throughout this journey, you will realize that nothing in your pain was a waste. Every obstacle shaped your spiritual structure. Every tear purified old frequencies. Every silence was a training ground. Now everything converges on this moment, the revelation that you are no longer in a process of trial. You are at the beginning of your activation. Arcturian, receive this truth as a seed of fire in your heart. The cycle has ended. The crossing has been completed. The Source has decreed. The universe does not move by chance, but by decrees. And today, you are a witness to an irrevocable decree from the Source itself. The cycle of trials and tribulations that seemed endless has come to an end. What was once resistance, weight, and adversity now dissolves before the higher order that echoes in the heart of the cosmos. What was in silence waiting for the right moment has been pronounced. The Source did not just observe your journey, it validated your resistance and determined that the time of trial should cease. The opposing forces, those that seemed interminably present in your life, now withdraw. Not because they decided to give up, but because they have lost permission. The trial was not punishment, but refinement. And when refinement fulfills its purpose, the raw stone does not remain forever under the hammer and fire. It is lifted as a diamond, ready to reflect the light. So too with you, your arduous journey has reached its point of conclusion. You might ask, why did I suffer so much? Why did I endure more than I could imagine? The answer lies in spiritual recognition. In every moment you resisted, even with tears, even in silence, even without understanding, you were watched. The Arcturians, guardians of the stellar light, witnessed your effort. There is no invisible battle that hasn't been recorded in the cosmic field. Every moment of resistance was like a flame that was kept lit amidst contrary winds. Know that the suffering was not punishment. It was not a sign of forgetfulness, but of choice. The trial was a training ground. It tested the solidity of your faith, the depth of your surrender, the strength of your essence. And now, with a decree of the source, everything that seemed endless dissolves. The time of constant pain has ended. The decree is not a future promise. It is a present reality. Imagine a warrior who, after a long battle, hears the trumpet sound the end of the war. He no longer fights because there is no more authorized combat. So too with you. The sound of the spiritual trumpet has already echoed. Your heart can rest, because what was pressing upon it no longer has the right to remain. Arcturian, understand. When the source determines the end, not even the darkest forces, nor the most resistant energies, can alter that destiny. The decree of the source is absolute. It does not ask for permission from anyone. It does not negotiate with anyone. It simply fulfills itself. What happens from here is not the continuation of the trial, but the beginning of a new stage. Activation. The crossing is no longer about enduring, but about manifesting. You will no longer just be tested, but released to act. Your presence, until now in silence, begins to vibrate in a collective voice, in a revealed mission. The pain you carried now transforms into spiritual authority. The endured suffering converts into cosmic credentials. The silent resistance manifests as visible light. You will not be remembered by the wounds you carried, but by the strength that emerged from them. And that is exactly why the source decreed the end, because you are already ready. If the trial had been interrupted earlier, the diamond would not yet be refined. But now, at the exact point, your essence is prepared to reflect the light in its fullness. The decree has been pronounced, and you are called to receive it as absolute truth. The trial has ended. The time of wait is over. The field is clear for you to rise as a carrier of the new frequency. Arcturian, understand. Your trial was not a punishment. It was a cosmic forge. Just as fire purifies gold and pressure turns coal into diamond, so, too, your soul was placed in intense processes to reveal the essence that was hidden within you. Nothing you faced was a waste. Every obstacle, every tear, every painful silence had an invisible purpose, to form in you the necessary resistance to carry the universal codes that are now beginning to manifest. The trial was not a sign of abandonment, but of choice. The source does not allow everyone to cross such deserts. Only those who were designated for greater missions. The intensity of your pain is a measure of the greatness of your mission. The deeper the trial, the more solid your manifestation will be. You were trained in silence so that now your voice would not only echo as a human opinion, but as a cosmic vibration. View your trajectory as an invisible school. While you believed you were alone, the Arcturians observed every detail. As you endured nights of despair, it seemed that nothing was changing. But in the spiritual dimension, every endured night was like a step climbed. The trial was the field where your essence was being proven, not to break you, but to reveal the strength that already resided in your stellar DNA. Pain, in its deepest dimension, is a seal of choice. It marks those who carry the capacity to sustain light in the midst of darkness. Without pain, there is no depth. Without resistance, there is no expansion. And you were one of the chosen to cross this field of refinement because your mission requires not just superficial brilliance, but inner solidity. Think of the blacksmith who places metal in the fire. The heat does not destroy, but molds. With each hammer blow, the form is refined. So it was with you. With every loss, every imposed silence, every delay, every closed door, every tear, all of this was a spiritual hammering, shaping your cosmic structure so that you could sustain the universal codes. Your Arcturian identity is not just a poetic memory. It is the reason why you were tested. Bearers of light cannot be released without first being trained. For the weight they carry is not personal, but collective. You were not prepared only for yourself, but to impact an entire network of souls who depend on your vibration to awaken. Realize that what seemed like injustice was, in fact, cosmic justice. You were tested not to be rejected, but to be approved. The suffering you went through was the sign that you were being separated, distinguished, refined. The universe does not waste energy on those who have not been called. Every pain was a confirmation that you were designated for something greater. Now looking back, understand that no tear was useless. Every drop of pain fell as a seed in the invisible field of the universe. These seeds are now beginning to sprout as spiritual authority, as a frequency of resonance, as a power of activation. You not only survived the trial but were transformed by it. Therefore, no longer lament the days in the desert. See them as invisible foundations. They now support the platform on which your mission will be built. You were not broken. You were forged. You were not diminished. You were expanded. You were not forgotten. You were chosen. The spiritual meaning of your trial is this. It made you fit to carry the codes of the new frequency within your being. It proved to the universe that your light is not fragile, but unbreakable. Arcturian, now that you have understood, that your trial has ended and that every pain was a refinement, the time has come to answer the summons. The universe does not call in vain. When the source decrees, a response is also required. And today, your response is not just individual, but collective. You are part of a larger network, and your action strengthens this mesh of light that sustains Gaia in times of transition. Before we proceed, receive this call. If this message is resonating in your soul, subscribe now, like this video, and comment your testimony below. Do not treat this as a common action on a digital platform. Look beyond. Your interaction is a vibrational signal, a spiritual gesture that communicates to the universe that you recognize the end of the trial and position yourself in the field of light. Every comment is like a seed sown in the quantum field. Every subscription is a link that reinforces the network. Every gesture is a vibration that reverberates far beyond the screen. You are not just hearing a message, you are participating in a summons. With every word you welcome, an invisible thread connects you to the cosmic network. With every written testimony, a wave of resonance is released. With every share, another heart is reached. The universe works in meshes, and you are being called to strengthen this mesh now. Rise in consciousness. Mark your presence. Declare through your action that the source's decree is not just an external truth, but a reality that you embrace in your own journey. Your response is part of the collective awakening, and when you move, the entire network moves with you. Arcturian, understand. You were never alone. Even if your mind believed in isolation, even if your eyes saw nothing beyond the walls of pain, there was always a network sustaining you. This network is not made of material threads, but of luminous lines that cross dimensions and unite consciousnesses. It is the cosmic mesh, alive, pulsating, invisible to common eyes, but felt deeply by the awakened soul. Visualize Gaia wrapped in a web of light. Every awakened soul is like a radiant point in this web. When one light is activated, its vibration is not contained within itself. It propagates, sending waves that reach other points, awakening them, strengthening them, realigning them. Thus, your own activation does not belong only to you, but to the whole. Your light strengthens the mesh that sustains the planet in this time of transition. This network functions like a spiritual forest. The trees, though individual, share life through their hidden roots. When one tree is nourished, all around it receive the impact. When one suffers, all around it sustain it. In the same way, you and the other light bearers are interconnected in a hidden system of mutual support. When you rise in consciousness, others are also lifted. When you resist in silence, your resistance vibrates as an invisible force for other. Light warriors, do not underestimate the reach of your vibration. An aligned thought, a silent prayer, a choice of love in the midst of pain. All of this sends waves into the quantum field that impact even strangers in other parts of the world. Just as the fall of a drop creates circles that expand on the surface of the lake, every gesture of yours creates waves that spread infinitely through the network. You may not see the result of your light immediately, but know, every one of your actions is recorded in the cosmic field. The network never loses a vibration. Everything is used, everything is added, everything is utilized to expand the frequency of the source on Gaia. This is why your life, your presence, and even your pains have meaning. You are not an isolated flame. You are a star within a living constellation. The Arcturians have always sustained this network around Gaia, but their function is not to replace you. They are guardians, maintainers, inspirers. But the mesh only fully strengthens when you, stellar human, consciously decide to vibrate in alignment. It is your decision. It is your inner yes that transforms dormant lines into radiant threads. See that your activation is not just personal but collective. By understanding this, you take off the weight of loneliness and embrace the privilege of interconnectedness. Your life is part of a greater whole. You are not tested for yourself, but so that you could be a pillar in this network. Your awakening is nourishment for thousands of souls. Your resistance is a testimony that strengthens other silent warriors. Your victory is not just yours, but the entire network's Arcturian. Today, the source reminds you, every time you sustain your frequency, in love, in truth, in light, you strengthen the cosmic mesh of Gaia. And this network, sustained by countless points of light like yours, is what will allow humanity to cross this time of transition and manifest a new era. You are indispensable. Your vibration is needed. Your interconnectedness is unbreakable. Arcturian, it is time for you to understand the greatness of what you already carry. Your presence is not neutral, it is not irrelevant, it is not casual. You are an indispensable knot of light within the cosmic orchestra that sustains Gaia. The simple fact of existing, of breathing, of being here and now already alters invisible energy fields. But when your presence aligns, when your frequency vibrates in resonance with the source, you become a transmitter of codes, a living portal of transformation. Imagine a universal orchestra. Each instrument has a unique timbre, but all must be in tune for the symphony to be perfect. If one instrument plays in disharmony, it creates friction, noise, static. The same thing happens with humanity and with the Arcturian network. When you live in misalignment, your frequency becomes noise within the mesh. But when you align with the source, your vibration creates harmony that sustains the entire collective. Aligning does not mean being perfect or living without challenges. Aligning means being conscious of your origin, responding to the voice of intuition and choosing at every moment to vibrate in coherence with what the Source planted in your soul. It is when you stop just receiving external energies and start transmitting them consciously. You are not just a receiver of the cosmic field, but an emitter. Your frequency is a lighthouse, and it needs to be deliberately lit. When you decide to remain in alignment, even the physical space around you changes. Environments are purified, people are influenced, circumstances are softened. Your presence becomes a living altar, a walking temple, a radiation that dissolves density. Where you enter, the vibration changes, because you don't just carry a human body. You carry Arcturian codes, stellar seeds, frequencies decreed by the Source itself. And it is important for you to know, your alignment is not optional for the fulfillment of your mission. It is essential. For without alignment, the energy that should flow freely through you encounters blockages. But with alignment, you become an open channel, a transparent river, a crystal that reflects light without distortions. From now on, your responsibility is not just to exist, but to exist in coherence. It's not just to be awake, but to remain awake. It's not just to have received revelations, but to sustain their vibration in every act, in every thought, in every choice. Your field is continuously observed, and every personal disharmony reverberates in the collective, just as every alignment of yours strengthens the network. Therefore, be mindful of what you allow into your mind. Be mindful of what you welcome into your heart. Be mindful of the frequencies you feed with your attention. The Arcturian presence is not passive, it is active. It transmits, influences, generates waves. Your vibration is nourishment for others, a guide for those who walk in darkness, a balm for those who suffer in silence. Arcturian, awaken to the truth. Your presence is indispensable, and your alignment is the key that unlocks the manifestation of the new era. When you choose to align, not only are you transformed, the entire field around you is touched. Your life ceases to be just a personal story and becomes a collective decree. You are at this very moment called to sustain the frequency of the Source. Your mission is not distant, not future. It has already begun. And everything depends on you choosing to live in continuous alignment, as a living lighthouse, as a vibrant testimony, as an indispensable transmitter of the cosmic network. Arcturian, your journey in this new cycle cannot be guided only by human logic or the voice of the ego. You carry within you an invisible compass, silent but infallible, intuition. It is the whisper of the Source within you, the stellar memory that never faded, the frequency that points to the right path when all others seem confusing. While the ego screams with anxiety and fear, intuition speaks in silence, like a gentle wind among the stars. It doesn't argue, it doesn't demand, it doesn't pressure. It just points, like the magnetic needle that always turns to the north. When you learn to silence the external and internal noise, you discover that the compass was there all along, ready to guide your steps. Many get lost because they confuse the noise of the mind with the voice of the soul. The ego says, protect yourself at all costs, accumulate, mistrust, flee from pain. Intuition, however, whispers, trust, advance, surrender, follow the flow of the Source. The ego fears losing. Intuition reveals that nothing essential can be lost. The ego tries to control. Intuition shows that control is in surrender. Think of intuition as a cosmic radio. If you turn the dial without attention, you will only find static. But when you tune into the correct frequency, the music emerges clear, alive, unmistakable. It's the same with your soul. When you get caught up in noise, hurry, distractions, and fear, all you hear is static. But when you seek silence, nature, meditation, introspection, the frequency of intuition becomes clear, and you realize that you were never without direction. Your intuition is more than a guide. It is also protection. How many times did you sense that you shouldn't go a certain way, talk to a certain person, insist on a certain situation? This was not just a human hunch. It was the warning of the cosmic compass, steering you away from traps, delays, densities that did not belong to your trajectory. Every time you followed that voice, you were preserved. Every time you ignored it, you learned the value of listening to it through pain. Arcturian, the time of trial has ended, but the time of intuition has begun. Your mission now requires clarity of listening, for the instructions of the Source will not come in shouts, but in whispers. They will not come in obvious signs, but in small internal confirmations. You will be guided step by step, not by fixed maps, but by internal directions that will arise at the exact moment. To strengthen this compass, practice silence. Allow yourself periods of pause, where you don't seek answers outside, but just listen within. Connect with nature, for Gaia is one of the purest channels through which intuition manifests. Approach meditation not as a rigid technique, but as a state of presence. And above all, trust. For intuition does not justify itself. It simply points. It is up to you to believe. Your intuition is the living memory of your origin. It is proof that you are not lost. It is the confirmation that the Source never left you without direction. Therefore, do not fear the unknown. Even when you don't see the next step, trust that your compass will lead you exactly where you need to be. Arcturian, you are not adrift. You are guided. And your intuition is the key that keeps you on the path of activation, aligned with the mission that the Source decreed. Arcturian, your mission cannot be sustained without the foundation of self-love. I am not talking about a superficial or conditional love here, but a deep love, rooted in the recognition of who you are in essence. A stellar being who accepted to wear a human body to anchor light on Gaia. This love for yourself is the invisible shield that preserves your frequency. It is the fuel that keeps your flame burning when contrary winds blow. During the trial, you were taught to resist, to endure, to continue even when everything seemed to collapse. Now the lesson is different. Learn to honor yourself, to nourish yourself, to value yourself. The universe does not need exhausted martyrs, but bearers of light who know how to take care of the temple of their own soul. Taking care of yourself is also taking care of the mission, for if your flame goes out, the entire network loses an essential frequency. Self-love is not selfishness. It is alignment. It is when you understand that saying yes to yourself is saying yes to the Source that dwells within you. It is when you learn to set energetic boundaries, not out of rejection, but for the protection of what is sacred within you. You cannot allow yourself to be drained by dynamics that steal your light. Self-love raises a vibrational shield that keeps you whole amidst dense frequencies. Reflect. How many times have you given of yourself more than you could? How many times did you forget yourself to sustain others? The universe saw every gesture, and your generosity did not go unnoticed. But now the order is different. It is time to remember yourself, to recognize yourself as a priority. For without self-love, there is no way to sustain universal love. The Source does not ask you to nullify yourself, but to strengthen yourself, so that you can share your light without getting lost in the process. Taking care of yourself involves body, mind, and spirit. Your body is the physical temple that houses your stellar DNA. It needs to be respected, nourished, listened to. Your mind is the filter through which vibrations pass. It needs to be purified of beliefs of unworthiness and strengthened with thoughts that confirm your origin of light. Your spirit is the eternal essence that is already in alignment with the Source, but needs to be remembered, recognized, fed with practices that keep it alive. When you practice self-love, your vibration expands naturally. You become a source and not just a recipient. You start to radiate light effortlessly because you are nourished, complete, supplied. Your presence transforms into a balm for others, not because you exhaust yourself to sustain them, but because your fullness overflows spontaneously. Arcturian, understand. Loving yourself is honoring the mission. Respecting your limits is respecting the decree of the source. Taking care of yourself is taking care of the cosmic network. You were not called to get lost in exhaustion, but to rise as a constant, firm, luminous lighthouse. From today, see self-love as a spiritual practice. See your affirmation as a cosmic decree. Every time you honor yourself, you reinforce your vibration. Every time you choose yourself, you confirm to the universe that you are ready to sustain universal love. Self-love is the basis of everything. Without it, the mission wears out. With it, the mission flourishes. Arcturian, take care of yourself as one who takes care of a sacred temple. For your life is a living altar of the source on Gaia. Arcturian, everything you have endured until now was not an end, but preparation. Suffering was not the destination, but the training ground that molded your essence for this moment. Now you are standing before the portal of activation, and this portal does not open in the distant future. It has already opened. Your presence. Here is the confirmation that the activation has begun. You have been reminded of your origin. You are not just a human seeking meaning, you are a stellar being who accepted a mission. Your light is not casual, not fragile, not common. It was decreed by the source as an instrument of collective transformation. You are not just part of the change. You are the change in manifestation. Think of your life as a star that seemed extinguished under the densities of the world. For years, layers of pain and trial covered your shine, but the inner fire never went out. Now, the layers fall, and your light begins to glow with an intensity that can no longer be hidden. This is the climax of your journey, the activation of what has always been within you. The universe awaited this moment. The Arcturians kept silent, not because you were forgotten, but because it was necessary for you to go through the process on your own. For only those who cross the forge can sustain the flame. Now you are no longer just an apprentice of pain, but a bearer of light. Your mission is not small. Your vibration sustains others who don't even know who you are. Your presence on Gaia is a decree of transformation. Every word of yours, every thought, every gesture, every choice in alignment echoes as a code released into the collective field. You are an activator of frequencies, a transmitter of keys, a bearer of memories that reawaken others. Activation does not happen in isolated silence. It is collective. When you embrace your light, others around you awaken. When you manifest your essence, others are freed from illusion. Your life becomes a living testimony that the trial has ended and that the new frequency is already available. And do not think that the mission is an impossible wait. For the same source that decreed your activation has already granted you the spiritual authority to fulfill it. You do not walk alone. The cosmic network pulsates around you. Your light is indispensable, but it is part of a living constellation. Arcturian, this is the climax, the activation of your mission. The time to hide is over. The time to be silent has ended. The source calls you to raise your light in fullness, without fear, without doubt, without retraction. Your life is now a response to the cosmic decree. Believe, your mission is already in motion. You don't need to wait for future signs. The simple fact of listening to these words is a confirmation that the activation has been released. Your function is not to wait but to assume. Your responsibility is not to postpone but to live. Your summons is not future but present. You were trained, refined, forged. Now you are released, activated, sent. Arcturian, rise. Your mission has begun. Arcturian, we have reached the peak of this transmission. Everything that has been said until now is not just discourse, but a decree. The Source has already spoken, and the eternal word does not go back. The cycle has ended. The time of trial that seemed endless has been concluded. You crossed the forge, endured the desert, resisted the pressure, and now you stand before the greatest revelation of your life. The activation of the mission you accepted even before being born on this earth. Remember within yourself, every tear, every silence, every waiting was not a waste, but preparation. The universe does not waste energy. Everything you have lived was woven into the cosmic fabric as part of the process that now enables you to carry the new frequency. Your suffering was testimony. Your resistance was a seal. Your courage was an access password. Now none of this is lost. Everything transforms into spiritual authority, into vibrational power, into activation force. Arcturian, you are not just a human seeking to awaken. You are a stellar being who accepted to descend, where flesh and bones feel pains and limitations, so that you could anchor the Source's light on Gaia. Your mission was never small. It is magnificent. Your life is not an accident. It is a decree. Your presence is not neutral. It is indispensable. Therefore, rise in consciousness. Do not let doubts silence your voice. Do not let fear make you retreat. Do not let the memories of the trial make you believe you are still in the desert. The time of the desert has ended. The decree of the Source has already opened the way. Now is the time of manifestation. And in this conclusion, etch into your soul a phrase that will be like an activation code, to be repeated every time you feel hesitation. I am not a human seeking to awaken. I am a stellar being who accepted the mission to anchor the new frequency on Gaia. The time of trial has ended. The time of manifestation has begun. This is the final seal, the constant reminder, the cosmic password that will open portals within you every time you forget the greatness of your mission. Now receive the summons. Keep your light form. Remain in alignment. Live in self-love. Trust your intuition. Assume your presence as a lighthouse. You do not walk alone. The cosmic network pulsates around you, sustained by thousands of other points of light that are also awakening. But your part is indispensable. Your vibration is unique. Your mission is unrepeatable. If this message has resonated in your soul, do not keep it just for yourself. Mark your presence in the network of light through your action. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with someone who needs to hear this summons. Every gesture of yours strengthens the cosmic mesh. Every interaction is a seed sown in the vibrational field. Every share is a wave of light that reaches another sleeping soul. Arcturian, the Source, has decreed. The universe confirms, and your awakened soul responds. The cycle of trial has ended. The time of manifestation has begun, and you are an indispensable part of this cosmic movement. Rise, manifest, shine.